Welcome to Horror Makes Us Happy, the podcast where we ask the question, what is it about horror that makes us happy? Your hosts are Steve Becker and myself, Chris Whitman, and you can find out more about us at our website, horrormakesushappy.com. Before we get started, a little warning for yourself and the listeners. These are the trigger warnings. We're going to be talking about things involving horror movies, horror culture, dark and macabre stuff, which could involve anything from murder, rape, suicide, child abuse, all kinds of curse words, and just bad things. So if that's your kind of thing, stay tuned. If not, here's your chance to cut out now, or maybe, give it a second thought and then come back and listen to us talk about murder, rape, and all kinds of fucked up shit.
Forever hold your peace.
Yes, that thing. Today's guest is David Howard Thornton. He's an actor best known as his role of Art the Clown in Terrifier. He's also on a YouTube series, Nightwing Escalations, and I believe currently finishing Terrifier 2, which I am definitely looking forward to. Welcome, David.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here, guys.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. Anything you want to plug before we get into the meat of the interview?
Yeah, as you said, basically we're almost done with Terrifier 2 now. I think we're basically in post-production. I filmed my last big kill scene recently right before Christmas, so it's exciting. And I think all we have left to do a few pickups here or there, and got to get it edited and then find distribution for it, and then hopefully it'll be released to the masses sometime this year.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
So I got. Does it top the sawing in half of the previous one? Because I don't know how you can top that, man.
Oh, we try. I think that scene is going to get some people pissed off.
Excellent.
Damien was editing it about a week or so ago, and he texts me in mid-edit. He's like, "Dude, I'm getting lightheaded editing this." I'm like, "Wow, that's a good sign."
It's very
if the guy that created it and all that is getting lightheaded, that's good. That's good. So, yeah. So I got that, and then I start filming this other horror film called Stream. I start filming that, I think, next week. While I'm recording it next week. So it's a lot of big horror names are going to be in that. I know I can reveal a few of them, like Jeffrey Combs is playing one of the main bad guys in it. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah, we got a lot of other little cameos from the horror world as well. So I'm very excited about working on this. I get to play one of the bad guys as well, but I don't want to reveal too much.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I got going on.
Okay. Yeah, the fact that you and Jeffrey Combs are in that is enough for me. That's a great cast so far.
Oh my god, I can't wait to be on set just to watch him work. It's like, that's how I learn. I learn from people that are better than I am, so I can just absorb everything they do.
Makes sense.
Yeah, learn from the best, I always say.
I learned from YouTube. I have 9 fingers left.
What did you do?
It's something involving a table saw and flamethrowers. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing like the thing they did in one episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, where it's a thing with a lighter, where they let's see. They did that also in the movie 4 Rooms.
4 Rooms, yeah. Okay, yeah. No penthouse finger chopping action.
Yeah.
I had completely forgot about that until you said that, and then once you said that, I realized, because not knowing that they did it in this other movie, I didn't know if Chris would remember that, because I know he's had spotty memory for some of the older stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that you knew about that, Chris, because I remember that.
I knew about it from 4 Rooms, not the Hitchcock.
Okay.
But,
So that's where I knew it from. So when I saw 4 Rooms, like, wait, that's the Alfred Hitchcock episode.
Well, Tarantino and his references.
Oh yeah, it was great. I was because I saw that one maybe when I was like 8 or 9 years old with the Alfred Hitchcock Present on like Nick at Night, and I just remember that episode. That's the one episode I remember because that just really resonated with me.
In the original one, did they make it further than one flick?
God, it's been so long, but I think it was like one flick and this slice. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Well, we can come back to that here in a minute. Briefly to give an overview of what we're going to talk about here, because I don't know what I told you on Facebook. So we're going to ask.
Nothing. Ignore me.
We'll be asking 3 sets of questions, basically the same questions, coming at it from 3 different angles, talking about your childhood, then adolescence, and then adulthood. The idea behind that is sometimes it triggers memories that you'd forgotten about. It's not meant to be a therapy session, though, so if there's anything that you don't want to answer, just say pass, and we'll pass on that.
Okay.
But starting with childhood, then you mentioned this. What else? What were some of your earliest memories of scary things?
Oh gosh, I think one of my earliest was Poltergeist when that came out, because my parents had like a viewing party at our house when it came out on VHS.
Oh, nice.
And I was put to bed because I was too young to see something like that at the time, and I snuck out of my room.
Watching for the banister.
Oh yeah. I was like, there was like this. We had like this divider between our kitchen and our den, where they all were, and there was like this little nook that was up there, like a bookcase type of weird thing. And I had pulled up a chair and I was standing on it watching the movie, and it got to the whole. The whole clown scene, and that freaked me out. I was like, that's when they discovered me. I was like, oh no, oh gosh. But that same movie, my mom used to scare me as a kid because I used to sit right in front of the TV and block her view. And so she told me, if you sit that close to the TV, you'll be sucked in the movie like the little girl in the movie. And I'm, oh no. And so I used to keep a wide berth of the TV.
I was going to say, that is so much better than telling you that your eyesight is going to be ruined.
Oh yeah. Oh, my mom was a master of that psychological stuff. I remember she told me my boogers were not snot, but it was worm eggs. And she's like, if you eat those, you will have worm eggs in your stomach and they will hatch. And you'll have worms in your stomach and you'll have to get your stomach pumped.
Oh my God,
I can see that backfiring depending on the kid.
Yeah. But I believed it. I believed it for the longest time. I was so worried about, getting my stomach pumped one day or stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, sorry.
Mom comes in and finds you feeding your boogers to the family dog or cat. What the hell are you doing?
Giving it worms.
His science experiment.
It's an experiment. Yeah.
Dogs get worms, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, someone has to
or
eat
the
these
dog
boogers.
ends up with worms, and you're like, but I didn't feed it my boogers.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Wasn't me. Actually, that'd be even better without mentioning the whole thing about the feeding of the boogers. If they just said that the dog had worms, and you just said it wasn't me. Wait, what? Okay, so Poltergeist, what else?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think there was what was it? It's actually a comedy. It's a House of the Long Shadows, I think it's called. It's with Vincent Price and all these great horror legends. I think what's his name from Star Wars? Who was
Christopher Lee?
No, from the original Star Wars. Who was
Obi-Wan?
No, he was the old guy. That was not the
Peter Cushing. There we go.
Peter Cushing. There we go. Yeah, Peter Cushing was in it as well. And I just remember this. It was because my dad was watching on TV one day, and there's a scene in there where this woman goes to wash her face in water, and it turns out to be acid.
Oh no!
It's just melts off her face. But yeah, I don't want to ruin the movie because it's a great movie. It's got a great twist in it. So watch this movie. I think it's called The House of the Long Shadows.
Okay.
It's good. I remember that. But we didn't really watch a lot of horror in my family because my mom was a coward when it came to horror movies. So she thought the movie Fall of the House of Usher was the scariest movie she had ever seen. So that's...
I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that one.
It's not a scary movie, really. that was scary to my mom.
Maybe more suspense or something.
Yeah. But she was a big chicken when it came to that stuff. So we didn't really watch horror. So I didn't watch it until I didn't really start watching until I was a senior in high school. Yeah,
With the exception of the viewing party of Poltergeist. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I think that was like they're like, oh, this is Spielberg. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
good.
it's a sci-fi family adventure romp.
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
Psych.
So the Alfred Hitchcock lighter scene, was that then actual childhood, or did that come later in the teen years?
Yeah, that was childhood. It was on Nick at Night. I used to watch a lot of Nick at Night as a kid. Yeah, I used to
but
watch
not
all
as,
those shows.
as Hitchcock or the remake?
The Hitchcock. Yeah,
I don't remember Hitchcock being on Nick at Night.
yeah. It was like the late '80s, early '90s that they had Alfred Hitchcock present on Nick at Night. About the same time they had Get Smart and all that on there.
Actually, I guess that was right about the time I moved from Florida to Jersey, and I no longer had access to cable TV, so that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah. I used to love that. That's how I watched all those great shows. There was a lot of good shows back then. It's like,
for some kids, it makes sense to ask this, some not. But sometimes we ask whether or not you were actually afraid of the horror stuff, or were you excited by it. At least with Poltergeist, I'm guessing you were afraid.
Mhm.
What about the others?
I was afraid of watching horror movies because of my mom. But I had not watched them, and so I was afraid of actually watching them. And then when Scream 2 came out, and I was a senior in high school, and I was doing a production of A Christmas Carol, and our cast wanted to go see Scream 2, and they're all inviting me out to go see it. And there was this girl in the cast I had a crush on, so I was like, okay, I gotta go. I can't just chicken out in front of this girl. And so I was like, okay, I just swallowed my pride. I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm just like, God, just don't freak out, David. And I'm watching it, and, I was loving it. I was like, this is so much fun. What's my mom's problem? These movies are fun. and I'm surprised.
Going with someone you have a crush on helps.
Oh, yeah, that helps too. Yeah. But it's like, I've growing up, I always loved to scare people anyway. So I think that's why I liked them so much. It's like, oh, yeah, this
particularly
is fun.
That one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I think Scream is a really good way to introduce people, especially slashers. But it's funny. I didn't see Scream 1 first. I saw Scream 2, and then I went back and watched Scream 1. I'm like, oh, that's good.
Right.
That's a good way to view movies. You watch the sequel and then the first one first, as long as there's no spoilers, because generally the first one is better than the sequel. So
yeah. So it was good. I was like, that's when I got hooked on it. So when I went to college the next year, like my roommate, who he came from a very Southern Baptist Christian, golly gosh, Gene Willikers type family. So they never watched it.
So you were basically rooming with Todd Flanders.
Oh,
I was just gonna say, one
really,
of the
in a lot of ways, like his family is like, they're not like those judgmental type Christians, but they're just like the Flanders, just so nice. It's like Leave It to Beaver type family. It's just it's like, what? This is like out of like some kind of weird place and time that this family lives in. He had never seen a boob even. He did not know what a boob looked like.
Where is it? Is it on the side? Is it on the bottom? I don't know.
That's like one of those things. Like my parents with me is like they gave me a subscription to Playboy magazine when I was 18.
What?
Yeah. It was,
when you're 18,
that's an acceptable present for an 18-year-old.
Even before that, like they would like if a certain issue came out when I was like 16. When I hit 16, they were like, okay, this is a special issue with Pamela Anderson. So we'll like
knew it was going to be the Pamela Anderson episode.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you can have this issue. And it's like it was my mom doing that too. So I was like, what? Crazy. It's like,
not awkward. Not awkward at all. No.
Oh no. It's just like, yeah. So it was like my roommate like discovered one of my Playboy issues in college, and he's like, this is what they look like. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, because this is before like we had like powerful internet and stuff like that. So it's just like when, if you want to look at porn back in the day and are like you would have to sit there and wait for like 5 minutes for the image to load on the screen. You're like it's like I think I see something coming in.
Yeah, I guess she was protecting you from having to go like look in the woods for the shit.
Oh no, yeah, but that was still a thing too, though. That was I grew up in Alabama. So of course you found wood porn
Is that a thing? Because I was gonna say, like I have that too. Like there was this spot in the woods where there was like an old dilapidated fort some kids gave up, and just next to it, there's like a porn sitting in the leaves, all rotted. But it was, oh my god, there's porn in the woods. So it
was wonderful. It was like that was like finding
until like
treasure.
the last generation. Like that was a thing for everybody up until about the last generation.
Yeah, it was. I remember like in my neighborhood.
Now that the kids have. Now that the kids have smartphones, no need.
Oh, it's sad. It kind of makes me sad for kids now because it's just instant access.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's just, we can fix this.
The specialness of it away, I guess. It's just like that because it's like that forbidden fruit type thing where it's like, oh wow, we found something we shouldn't find. Oh,
wait! I have a fix for this. We'll just go around hiding porn in geocaches.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Oh my god! Because that was I remember because like we were playing hide and seek in my house one day with my neighbors and like my neighbor's little brother. We just hear this, "Hey guys, look at this!" And he's like, we find him hiding in my parents' closet.
Right.
Found my dad's stashed like 70s Playboy magazines, and I was like, oh my god! It's like that's like my mom discovered us in there. She hears it. It gets dead silent in the house, and then she just starts hearing all these like little giggles. And she's like, "Uh-oh, what did they find?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
especially being in their room.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's like, and she like my mom thought my dad had thrown them all out and everything like that. And
of course.
So,
like, at least that's what she told you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I heard him like like my mom yelling at him later on.
That's even better.
Must have missed one. I don't know how that happened.
Still had him though. Because years later, I found him again in like my dad's closet. And I was like, aha. That was like that was still like finding treasure. I was like, oh, this is wonderful.
Actually, some of those are worth money
scenario.
Now.
Yeah,
probably.
Like
not probably. Some of them are definitely worth money now.
Oh my
that's
god!
Right, because the site's down and they don't do pornography anymore, do they? Didn't they decide to be like a culture and literature only magazine?
I don't know about that, but
yeah.
I worked in a comic book store for a little while in the 90s, and they had a whole section that was just adult magazines because they had comics, and then they had like Fangoria and Eerie and I can't think of what the other one was. The horror comics that were the other size, and then they had a section for magazines.
Creep show.
Wow.
Well, Creepy. That's what it was. Creepy. And also Vampirella. Not that I think about it.
Of course.
Of course.
So jumping back to childhood for a bit. I'm guessing you participated in Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite costume or least favorite costume?
Oh god, I had some interesting ones. There was like this one year where I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a werewolf or a ghost.
So you were both?
And so I was both. I had the body of a ghost and the head of a werewolf. I was a werewolf ghost. And it was like one of those like, and it wasn't like one of those cheap masks. It was like something my mom actually had to apply to my face, which is really cool. It was like this makeup kit we found. So I thought I was going around, running around and scaring kids in the neighborhood. I thought I was like so scary. I loved that costume. I had that one. Had I think my 5th grade year, I dressed up like Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles, and I had this like paper mache turtle shell that my parents had made for a church sketch. And it was way too big for me. So it was like you just saw my head and my hands and my feet sticking out of this thing. But I insisted on wearing this thing because it completed the costume.
Right.
So I oh my god, it was a pain for me to walk around in. And then I remember I would just sometimes just fall over on my back.
Oh no!
So I looked like a real turtle on its back, and I'm like, help! And my dad would have to come pick me up. Candy spills out everywhere.
Of course. Any least favorite costumes?
Oh yeah, least favorite costumes. God, I think, man, Let me think here. Least favorite. I think one year I dressed up like a red Crayola crayon.
What?
Yeah.
Hey.
Red Crayola crayon.
I'm tempted to ask you to explain that, but that sounds like one of those things that it's just like you can't explain it. That's just a kid.
Yeah. It was a costume that they had out there, and I was like, oh, why? Because my favorite color was red. I'm going to be a red crayon.
Okay.
Like, okay, yeah. That, I think my Scrappy Doo when I was like 4 years old or something. I went, so it was one of those like crappy Scrappy Doo masks. The ones where it was like the ones that you bought was like that, like the plastic sheet you wore for the costume, and like the crappy.
And the shirt had a picture of the mask that was already on your face.
Yeah.
In case you
What was
lost
the name of those,
mask.
Steve? One of our last guests actually knew the name of those.
Yeah, it's Ben something.
Masks. Yeah.
Oh god, it's like those masks would like cut in your face too. Yes. It was just like, yeah.
So you mentioned that you didn't watch a lot of horror as a kid. I'm guessing you didn't have any friends who were particularly horror fans at that time.
My best friend Steve was, because I remember he used to get like sometimes get Fangoria magazine and stuff like that. So I remember looking through an issue of that when we went on choir tour one year. It was the year Alien.
So was that actually like childhood though, or was that when you were a teen?
It would have been Aliens.
I'm trying to remember because I know it had something to do. It had something with aliens in it, and there's some other stuff. It was like, it was summer of '92 that it was June of '92 because it was when we came to New York City my first time.
All right.
And I was just like, this is crazy.
That would have been Alien 3 apparently.
Alien 3, okay, that makes sense then, yeah.
So just the one friend that was a fan of horror, not like a group or anything.
Yeah. I grew up in the Bible Belt, so.
What part?
Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's dead center.
Oh yeah. But Huntsville's like its own little island of intellect in a sea of like.
Oh, like Austin.
Yeah, exactly. Huntsville, it's gotten a lot more conservative recently, though. But it was because Huntsville's where NASA first started. So it's a town of engineers and scientists. So it's a very intellectual city.
Okay.
So what happened to the rest of Alabama?
Nothing. That's the point.
Okay.
They're still living in the Confederacy. So.
Did you have any recurring dreams or any recurring nightmares when you were a kid?
I wouldn't say recurring nightmares, but I had a lot of dreams where I would fly. I was always obsessed with flying, so I had a lot of flight dreams.
That's not uncommon for kids.
That and playgrounds. I always liked really cool playgrounds, so I would have dreams about really kick-ass playgrounds.
Okay.
Where they had like
monkey bars that go on forever.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, or like slides that turned out to be like roller coasters and stuff like that. It was,
that sounds cool.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever have
a
time when you were actually terrified of something as a child, like in real life?
I was scared of the dark.
Okay.
I did not like the dark, and I would sleep with like an army of stuffed animals surrounding me in my bed because I thought they would protect me. Then I would sleep fully under the covers, and I'm still like that now. And it's not because of fear; it's just comfort to me. So I sleep with the covers over my head, but I have my mouth sticking out so I can breathe.
I'm the same way, actually.
Yeah, same here.
But for me, I don't know that I was ever so much afraid of the dark as I think I've always assumed that for me, I think it started when I was a baby that my parents must have covered my head, pulled the covers up all the way. Because as far as my memory goes, I think I've slept like that my entire life. I can't sleep like that now, or can't sleep without it being like that now.
Nah, it's just like a cocoon.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is so comfy.
I've started doing it recently because I have less hair on the back of my head.
What does it have to do with sleeping?
It's
warmth.
Cold. Yeah.
You live in Florida.
Bed with just my head exposed. Yeah. And it's like 65 here tonight, man. I might die.
You won't want to come up north then.
Nope.
My first winter here in New York was an eye-opening experience, I tell you that. I was like, oh, this is what cold is. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Are you in upstate?
I am New York City.
Okay.
Okay.
Not as bad.
We filmed upstate though for Terrifier 2 in a barn basically that we turned into a studio. So it was cold. We had to have those like jet engine heaters keep us warm.
Was it anywhere near Rochester?
I don't. It wasn't. It's in Canajoharie, wherever that is. It's in the middle, like Amish country, middle of nowhere. I think it's closer to Albany.
Okay.
But middle of nowhere. I was lucky to get a bar on my phone.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I was like, literally, we'd be leaving from set and would just pass like the Amish. So that was always fun driving by while I'm covered in blood and full costume. They pass on those buggies on the road, and I would just like wave.
Would you get the slow magnet stare where their eyes and face just follow you as you drive by?
Yeah, it's more like that. Like, oh my god, oh jeez, did you see that?
Hey, you could do their children a favor if they have any kids with them and yell, "This is what technology does to you!"
Yeah.
Oh
my god, it's fun. I love doing that.
Okay, so let's go into teenage years then. So Scream 2, what else was big in your teenage years?
Oh god, I was a big Jim Carrey fan, so I would watch all those movies, Ace Ventura, Mask, Cable Guy, In Living Color.
What about horror related stuff?
That's when he was just known as the white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did watch Are You Afraid of the Dark a lot though.
Okay.
That was my jam. Snick every Saturday night. I was like, that was my favorite thing. That and like Secret World of Alex Mack, because I had a crush on Larissa Oleynik. I was like,
who didn't?
I know.
Anything else horror related that really jumped out at you?
Yeah,
jump scares.
Jump scares. Yeah, walking in on my sister in the bathroom. No.
That could be a frightening experience, especially if she had one of those face masks on.
Yeah.
And curlers and everything.
I mean,
oh god,
you've had the Playboys. It was nothing new.
No, it's your sister. You don't want to see your sister.
No, but
I am from Alabama, but come on.
I just meant you weren't scared about that part of it.
Yeah. But still, she's like, oh, God. Middle eye wash.
Yeah. All right. So, Scream, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Any of the typical late 80s, early 90s slashers
too, yeah.
What's that?
I was like I said, I was late to all that, so all the slashers back in that time. So yeah, I was like, I didn't watch them, but later on I watched them in college, so that's I was really caught up on all that. It's like, yeah.
Other than Steve, had you moved, or were you still in the same area at this point?
I was still the same area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I met my friend Steve when we were in 6th grade because he had just moved into town.
Okay. Did you pick up any other friends in the horror community around that time, or was it still just the two of you?
It was just the two of us. Okay. Yeah. He was a big Alien fan. That was his thing. He loved Alien. He had the action figures, all that kind of stuff too.
Okay. So what scared you about, you mentioned Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps and stuff like that. Do you remember anything that particularly scared you?
Oh, I remember there was this episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark where a mummy came alive in like a museum or something like that and started going after the kids. I thought that was a freaky one. So yeah. And of course, Zebo the clown on there too. That was just like, oh. But he didn't scare me. I just thought that was amusing. So.
Okay, I was going to ask. I'm seeing a recurring theme here with clowns. Did you star as Art the Clown to overcome your fears? But no, it sounds like you.
Oh, that's funny too because back when I was a little kid too, I had the old Batman Mego figures. I don't know if you remember those things. They were like foot tall figures. They had like the cloth costumes and everything like that.
Yep.
We had the Joker figure, and he used to scare me, and my mom would have to hide him from me.
What about him scared you?
I don't know. It's just he just looked scary to me. Yeah, he just looked creepy. It's like when you're like 2 or 3 years old. That's like
oh, like really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, something about the size and design of his clothing too is just kind of off-putting. Like
Yeah.
a Michael Myers jumpsuit or something.
Yeah.
And again, irony. You're now playing the Joker.
Oh, I know. It's just like I love how all that comes like full circle.
So that Mummy episode, was it just the chase, or was there something about the Mummy, like the concept? What?
Yeah, it was just like the look of the Mummy was just really creepy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Like more realistic, rotten face kind of thing.
Yeah. It's just like the way it was just like going around the museums, like the sounds he was making and stuff like that. It's just, oh god, this is creepy.
Did you have any recurring nightmares or just recurring dreams in your teens?
Not really. No, that I can really think of. It's more about girls.
Priorities,
Girls I liked, and I was like, oh, it's like one of those like, oh, we're together. And I wake up, I'm like, damn it. Damn it, that was a good dream. I want to go back to sleep.
Did you participate in Halloween in your teenage years?
I did, but really, I didn't. I did it like maybe a year or so of trick or treating, but then I ended up doing a lot of scaring.
What do you mean?
I would sit on my porch and scare people.
Okay.
Like one year, I dressed up like a scarecrow, and we had for a few weeks before Halloween, we put a fake scarecrow out on our porch to like get people used to it.
Yep.
So they would just say, "Oh, okay." And so that night, I dressed up in the scarecrow costume, and I put newspapers inside of my costume. So if they came up to touch me to see if I was real, they would get the crinkle of the newspaper.
Nice touch.
Yeah. So it really put them at ease. They're like, oh, "Okay." And then, I'll just go, after they got the candy. But the best part of it was, like, two of my friends from high school were going around, and we had just, right before they got there, these two girls had come up, and they're drenched. And they're like, my mom's like, what happened to you girls? They're like, oh, these boys, they threw these water balloons at us. They thought it would be funny to pull a prank on us. She's like, oh, don't worry, David will get them. My friends from high school, and so they come, hey, Miss Thornton, how you doing? Is David around? I was like, oh, no, he's out trick-or-treating too. You probably see him out there somewhere. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Tell him we said hi. And I just got up, hi, guys. and they ended up falling down the stairs of our front porch, and those water balloons
all over them.
All of them just like pop, 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 pop.
Even better.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're like, and it's like, that got you. I got you. Teaches you a lesson there, guys. Don't throw water balloons at girls. Come on.
Right.
So like the next year, they're at school. They're like, so Dave, are you gonna be like scaring people this year? I'm like, no, guys, no, I'm not. That was just a 1 year thing because everybody's gonna expect it this year.
Right. So you did
like,
it.
Okay, cool. So, that year I had played a wolf in a production of Beauty and the Beast. So I borrowed the wolf costume. It's like this full body, like fur costume. It was an awesome costume. And I just hid in the bushes, and people come out, and I just jump out and scare them. And I got them again. They're like, okay. Cool, man.
Cool.
And then another year, I switched up, went over to my friend Steve's house, and I sat on his porch and scared people. Yeah.
Nice.
So you got to do it. It's like that's what I think I found my calling in scaring people. This is so much fun. I mean, I still like on YouTube. I like to sometimes do deep dives and videos of people scaring people. It's like, I just think it's hysterical.
What do you mean by deep dives?
Oh, I'll just sit there for like an hour or so, just going video after video after video of people just jumping out and scaring people. I think they're hysterical.
I thought you meant like dissecting the videos and trying to figure out how to do it better.
No. Okay. No, I'm pretty good at it. It was I was especially my friend and my roommate in college, Chad. It was just like I was very dedicated. Like one time I hid in his closet right before he woke up in the morning in his like clothing.
No.
So when he's going through his clothes, he's like half awake and half asleep. I'm like, hey, buddy. He's like, God. Another time, he went out, and I went under his desk, And I hid under his desk for 2 hours. I stayed down there for 2 hours while he was studying.
Commitment.
And then I just grabbed his leg and started snarling like a dog. He peed in his pants.
Nice.
And it got to the point where, like, if he didn't see me when he came in the room
He'd
and
look
he
for
thought
you.
I was around, he would just start looking for me. And sometimes he would find me, but there's like this one time I was coming down the hallway, coming back from class, and I hear this, Dave, okay, come out, man. I know you're in here, man. I know you're in here.
Nice.
And he had his back to the door. So I just stood behind him, and then he turns around, and I'm just right there in his face. Like, looking for me?
Didn't even have to say anything that time. Just him discovering you as a scary
Oh,
part.
no. I had fun. I had so much fun with that. It was great. I've done that stuff with, other roommates, too. It's like here in New York, my buddy Noah, when we were living together, like, he had a fear of zombies. And so, like, one night he was going out with his girlfriend. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going out with mine, so I'll probably see you tomorrow. I was like, okay. I didn't go out with mine. And I got into my makeup kit and put all the zombie makeup on me. And I didn't know what time I was going to be home. So I just made a little camp out type scenario for me in the bathtub. And I had, like, pillows. I had food. I had my Kindle in there. So it's all set up, just waiting for him to get home. And he finally comes home. He's going to the bathroom. Thank God he only went number one. But he's over there just washing his hand, and I pull back the curtain, and I'm just like, scared the crap out of him. It was so much
So he did
fun.
go number 2.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it was that kind of stuff. He and I would go back and forth doing that to each other all the time. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Good old prank wars.
Yeah.
So was that scarecrow costume? Was that the first time you did something? Were exposed to scaring people on a sort of a mass scale like that, or was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely it. Before that, I sometimes just jump out at my mom in the house and stuff like that. Like, because my thing was always trying to get her to pee her pants.
Was that something that she would do often?
Yeah. Oh, she and I would do it to each other all the time. It was like an ongoing competition between the two of us. It was just like, yeah.
Nice.
Like, check afterwards. Did you pee your pants? Huh?
Yep.
I got you this time, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. I was like, damn it, I gotta go change.
How old were you when that started?
Oh, God, teenager.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely my teen years. I just thought it was hysterical.
The reason I ask is because I could see that being something that you would do with your parents from an early age.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. It's like, I just thought it was funny. It's like, I made my mom pee.
Guessing she had some. It's either a commentary on her weak bladder or how scary you were.
Both.
Bit of both.
She definitely had a weak bladder because you get her laughing too hard and then she'd pee her pants too. So it's just like, yeah.
I've heard that can be the case after you've had a few kids, and you mentioned a sister, so I can see that being the case too.
I wouldn't know.
I personally don't know either, of course, but I have heard that. Anyway.
I would wonder if you did.
Well,
this is the movie Junior. I'm going to have a baby. Push it out now. Get out now.
God, I haven't seen that in ages.
They grew the baby inside him?
Yeah.
Does that mean he pooped it out?
C-section. It would have to be a C-section, man. I would hope it would not be natural. It's out. Ooh, man.
Right.
It's like you think. I've had a kidney stone before, and I know how painful that was.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh God, imagine pushing a baby through. Oh God,
that's not happening.
Mm-mm.
So I was about to ask if there was a time that you're ever actually terrified of something as a teen. That's a good thing to be terrified.
Yeah. As a teen, what was I scared of? Talking to girls. That's what I was afraid of as a teen. Talking to girls. It's just like I was too afraid to just. I was kind of like the buzzard from like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. Like no. Yeah.
So, actually, even into your teen years here, other than the scarecrow stuff and scaring people at Halloween, it doesn't really sound like there's much in the way of horror, even into your teens.
No.
So,
You know what did scare me was tornadoes. That's what scared me. Because I was in a tornado when I was in fourth grade, F4 tornado that went through Huntsville.
Okay.
It was 1989 tornado. You look it up. It's huge. It was a big deal. I was at my church when it got hit. It destroyed my church and my elementary school.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad.
And you were at the church when it happened.
Yeah, and we didn't have warning beforehand.
Oof.
So no one knew this. It just plopped out of the sky and went through. But we at our church had a little bit of an advance warning because our associate pastor was a Hempsey driver at the time, and so his people knew where he was, and they radioed him in. It's like, there's a tornado heading towards you guys right now. And so we ran down to the basement right underneath the sanctuary. I was doing handbell lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got down there literally right when the tornado hit the church. I had hit the ground in the basement, and we had these, because they were doing construction on our church at the time. So these construction workers were down there, and they had to press themselves up against the doors to keep the doors closed. Oh, wow. I just remember my mom throwing herself over me to shield me and everything like that. Then we got buried in there because of all the debris, right. And we had a gas leak in there.
Oh God!
Wow!
And so, our choir director, who was also my godfather, was trying to keep us all calm. So he told us to sing, and so we're singing, and all of a sudden, this guy has dug us out of there. He's bloodied up. He was outside when the tornado hit. He survived it, but he heard these kids singing, and he dug us out of this basement. And we got out of there, and we evacuated to another part of the building that was a little bit more stable structure-wise until we could find out where we could go to, because this is before cell phones and everything like that. Yeah. So we sent some of the other parents out to try to find local people that were at the church, see if we could go to their house to hopefully find shelter. And when we got out of that basement, there was all these explosions and everything like that. So it was very lucky we got out of that basement when we did. Yeah. It was just so after that, I kind of had PTSD for bad weather, because tornadoes happen all the time in Huntsville because we live in a valley down there. Mm-hmm. So it's very unpredictable. So it's 2:00 in the morning, sirens start going off, so you have to run downstairs, seek shelter and stuff like that. So it's that was always a big fear of mine.
Understandably.
Yeah. Experience like that.
Yeah, not a lot of fun because they're so unpredictable. It's not like a hurricane where days in advance it's coming and you can get out of there. Tornado could just literally drop out of the sky.
Did that cause you to change your behavior in any way, other than just staying near a shelter?
Yeah, I always took it seriously.
Yeah. Did you say you're in New York now?
Yes.
Okay, so at least you don't have to worry about that.
Well, we do occasionally get tornadoes up here, which is odd. Really? About 10 years ago, the small tornado went through Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
that was my reaction too, because I didn't even know it had happened. And all these people, a tornado went through Brooklyn. Then I looked at the footage of them, oh, that's not a tornado. That's nothing. That's a little pussy tornado.
Right.
It's just high winds.
Yeah, you're tornado. I don't see anything. What are you talking about?
Where? Yeah.
Where that garbage bag is swirling? No, that's not a tornado.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing but a dirt devil.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was a joke compared to what we would get back home. So I was this is nothing.
All right. So moving into adult years then, what were some of your main exposures to horror in the adult years?
Oh God, everything. That's when I did,
Top 3.
I started watching. Top 3? Oh God, I would say probably Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one. Mm-hmm. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and Halloween.
Yes, excellent choices.
Yeah. I also love The Omen and Exorcist as well, though.
I can't remember if I've ever seen The Omen all the way through, but I remember seeing bits and parts of that when I was a teen, and that was some freaky shit.
Oh yeah, it's so freaky. So just like the birthday party scene, it's just like, oh god.
All for you, Damien.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
that, and like the cemetery scene with the hellhounds. That always just like God.
I don't remember
The guy got
those. I
his head chopped
remember.
off by a pane of glass, which is totally realistic. That happens all the time in real life.
What was it? Chopped off by
Yeah.
what?
The
He
pane of
was
glass.
driving. Yeah, a pane of glass slipped off a truck in front of him and just clearly cut his head clean off.
Decapitation. That's like, oh, jeez.
Remind me.
That's a good movie.
Was it Omen, the one that had like a? It was like a nuclear power plant or some sort of power plant that had 7 smokestacks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That might have been a sequel, maybe.
Maybe.
There were 3 of them.
Yeah.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Chris can Google it while we're talking.
Yeah.
So I guess go through these one by one. What was it that scared you about Texas Chainsaw?
It was just creepy. That's the thing. It's like it was just like, especially the family dinner scene in that. It was just, oh god, where you think the grandpa's dead,
and then he comes alive. Yeah.
Oh my god, sticks a finger in the mouth and just, oh god, and it just looked like, just such a filthy movie too. It's just like it just looked like it smelled, and it did, but it just looked just gross. It was
when you can invoke that feeling and just have the audience think of the smell in the room just by the design, because the movie obviously doesn't have smell. You've done your job well.
Yeah. During the 70s and 80s, and I don't know about into the 90s, but definitely in the 70s and 80s, there were a lot of abandoned homes in Florida. I know. I'm guessing around the rest of the world.
Oh, too. Definitely in Alabama too.
But I mean,
out in the country, especially.
Yeah, when you've got broken windows and the water getting in and the mold and the mildew, and of course kids going to explore in places that they're not supposed to be. These places definitely do have smells.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine if you were to take that and then add on to it the stuff that's in some of these movies.
Yeah.
But having had that experience of your own, so you can mentally imagine that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff in like the outdoors is like there's something like the woods at night is a freaky thing to me too, because it's because I grew up in the woods and stuff like that, so it's like so many things could be looking at you and you don't know it. So something could always just be right behind the next tree, and just that's like when like Blair Witch Project came out. I was a camp counselor that summer, so that was like I had fun because I made the little stick figures and hung them in trees and made little rock piles and out the trails just to mess with people.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and we weren't an overnight camp, so it was just a day camp. But still, it was fun. Like because the other counselors didn't know I had done that. So they're out in the trail.
So you got both the kids and the counselors.
Yeah. And I just snuck out there one day and just like put them up in the trees in this one location, and all these counselors come like, what the heck? Because we actually had a legend at our camp about the hermit that lived in the woods. He had the hermit cabin out there. And actually, back in the day, there was a hermit that lived out there, but he was long gone.
There's always a hermit, really.
Oh yeah, but we had the legend at the camp. The hermit would kill kids and stuff like that, drag them back to his thing, and would prank the kids and like get ketchup on us and like, oh my god, run. Oh yeah, it was fun. Yeah, but that's when I was like, I'm going to have more fun with this and actually put this Blair Witch stuff out there and really freak people out, because in that same area of Alabama, there's a lot of like satanic cults and stuff like that too that do their rituals out in the woods. So it's like very plausible to come across something. Yeah,
nice. What about Elm Street?
Oh yeah, I was like, see, I just found those entertaining. I love those. Those are just fun movies.
What did you like about them?
Yeah, they are. All the anthropomorphisms and the weird transformations that Freddy does.
Yes. They're just so creative.
Yeah.
Because I think Freddy Krueger is the best horror villain ever created because there's infinite things you can do with him because he's a creature of the dreams. So you can do anything you want with that character, anything. And then what's even scary about that too is like you have to sleep. You cannot survive if you do not sleep. You will die if you do not sleep.
Yeah.
So you can never truly get away from him.
Right.
Which is a horrible. And then he can do whatever he wants in the dream. That's his world. And so that concept's brilliant.
Yep.
Brilliant.
What about Halloween?
Halloween, that's just good. That really set the standard for everything. Every slasher movie really owes some kind of debt to Halloween.
Yeah, I don't know. Was Halloween pre-Texas Chainsaw?
No, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out first. I think that was earlier 70s, but Halloween that kind of set the standard for slashers.
For slashers, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, just you were talking about the design and theme of Texas Chainsaw earlier too, and I think that also like not slashers, but that did also set a precedent with that whole family at the table dinner scene. Even like so many other movies now have done that, and
oh yeah, especially some like southern redneck type of backwoods hillbilly type of thing, wrong turn type thing.
Yep.
So what about The Omen?
I think that's back when I was really religious too. And so I think that's what really freaked me out as well. Think, oh, this could really happen. Because my grandmother, my dad's mother, was very evangelical, and so I used to believe in that stuff for a while. And so it's like that. I think that's what really freaked me out was that idea of like Satan and the devil and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh God, yeah,
burning in a lake of fire for all of eternity. Yeah.
Same thing with The Exorcist, or different?
Yeah, same thing. Because with Exorcist, because here's why that freaked me out too is growing up I had a chemical imbalance. I couldn't control my anger in a lot of ways. I always called it like my Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk syndrome. I would just totally Hulk out when I got mad, and I would blank out. I would not know what I had done. I'd just go into this rage. And I later on I took medication for it, and it all got under control. When I hit puberty, everything like balanced out and everything. So I've been fine ever since then, thank God. But it's like at that early age, that evangelical grandmother I had, she told me the reason I was like that was because I had demons inside of me. So if I had that kind of, if I had that anger inside of me, I had to tell Satan to get out.
Okay.
And so, I would have those moments when I was like a little kid on the playground. I would be just sitting there, Satan, get out of me now. And of course, that would cause people to tease me. It's like I never instigated anything. It was always because someone teased me or was picking on one of my friends. I was always reactionary. Someone would have to push me over the edge. And so, but I believed for a while that I had like demons inside of me. And so it was like, that's what was freaky about, Exorcist, that whole demonic possession type thing.
Did your family ever consider performing an exorcism on you?
Funny story about that same grandmother. I was about 5 years old, and there was this restaurant in the local mall called Piccadilly Cafeteria that we would go to a lot because it was my grandparents.
Piccadilly. We had those down here in Florida too.
Yeah. Horrible food.
Yeah, it was all right.
But it's like that was my grandparents' favorite place to go.
That is where grandparents eat.
Yep.
That and Cracker Barrel and Bob Evans.
Yeah.
Ponderosa.
Yep. But my grandmother was the slowest eater in the world. Oh my God. And we had a toy store in the mall, of course, too. And I like that was always our tradition.
I can
it's like
already
after
see
lunch.
where this is going.
And I had finished my food, and I was bored, and I just started, Mom, can we go to a toy store? I want to go to a toy store. Can I tell like my sister, can I take me to a toy store? Can I want to go to a toy store? I just kept on, and just like, no, Dave, we can't go yet. We gotta wait for Grandma. And I'm like, let's just start throwing your typical 5-year-old temper tantrum at the table. And my grandmother, you have to look the mental picture of this woman. She was 4'8", tiny little thing. And she just stands up and slaps her hand to my head in the middle of this restaurant and just starts trying to exorcise me right there. Lord Jesus Almighty, I
Demon be gone!
cast these demons out of my grandson's head. Out, Satan, get out of him.
Oh, in the middle of Piccadilly.
In the middle of the lunch rush at Piccadilly.
Oops.
Of course, every head in there's like, whoa, right at us. And I noticed this. And instead of just being embarrassed by it, I'm like, okay, fuck you, bitch. I'm going to have fun with this. And I just started going, oh my God. And my mom was furious. Both of us. She was like, Howard Thornton. I'm like, oh, crap. There's the middle name. I'm in trouble.
There's the full name. You're in trouble now.
Oh, God, I'm in trouble.
You totally have an out. You could have just kept going with it. Be like, no, I was possessed. Yeah. There were demons inside me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was too young to really think that far ahead.
Yeah, true.
It's like, yeah. So it's like, oh, boy. But, there was a while there. My mom she's like, we couldn't even see my grandparents for a while because she was so pissed off about that. It's like, how dare you? He's 5 years old. He's a typical 5-year-old. He just wanted to go to the toy store. He did not have demons in him. But yeah, she tried to exorcise me in the middle of a restaurant. I was like, yeah.
With all of her exorcism training.
My grandma. Oh, boy. It's like, I understand, like, she and my grandfather were not into this evangelical phase until right before I was born. So I understand they were totally different people before that.
This chemical imbalance and, blanking out and stuff and acting up. I could see how that could kind of be like a common thread going from your childhood through teenage years and enjoying scaring people. You can't really ask where that comes from because if it's a chemical imbalance, I mean that it's just purely biological. Makes sense though.
Yeah.
Other than the fact of scaring people, do you see any common threads with the stuff that you liked?
I guess I think the things I really liked too were like villains that had a humorous side to them. I think that's why I like Freddy so much and like Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I like that blend of horror and comedy.
Okay,
because I think it takes you on a better roller coaster ride. Because the comedy can put you at ease, so they can get you again with a good scare.
Well, it also is kind of reminiscent of you. I mean, you're enjoying scaring people, so there's the pleasure, and the humor is pleasurable in its own way.
Yeah. Also, laughter is a defense mechanism in a lot of ways too. Sure. It's just like that's how it's to show people that like, oh, okay, everything's cool, okay.
It's a diffuser.
Yeah, it's a diffuser. Yeah.
Even if it's not though, because like you said, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Could be both.
Yeah. So did you pick up any additional friends along the way in terms of having a group of people that you enjoyed horror with?
Not really. No, not really. Okay. Sadly, no. Yeah.
Dying breed.
Yeah.
There's the internet. There's plenty of people out there.
Exactly. That happened more like when I started doing, conventions and everything like that. That's when I started meeting all like, oh, okay. Now my current roommate though, he's a huge horror fan too, so he's always telling me stuff to watch and stuff like that. So
yeah, speaking of which, we've actually met. You may not have recognized me though, because I was dressed up as the cat from Cat Sick Blues.
Yes.
Also, it was a photo op, and I'm sure you saw 900 people that day. So, did you remember me out of all that? No.
That's fantastic. Oh my god. Which convention was that?
That was Spooky Empire, the second to last one, not the Tampa one, but the last one in Orlando.
Orlando, yeah. That was a fun one too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was actually a very small photo op that I had at that one too. That was the sad thing. But so yeah, of course I remember you from that one because you're one of my few people.
Well, not only that, but I was going to say the number of people of that small group who would have been dressed up as Ted from Cat Sick Blues is probably smaller yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a rare costume. Not all people get it, but when the people do see it, they're like, that guy, you had a cat cock.
Yeah. So I think I had my photo up early in the morning, so it's like I was like, dang it. So, Yeah.
Not as many people.
Plus, I think they forgot to like publicize all the photo ops, so people didn't know. Because I got all these messages from people like, "Oh, you already did yours? Ah, yeah, sorry. Can you do it again?" No, it takes like 3 hours. Put all that on.
Oh yeah, if you had already gotten rid of the makeup and the costume,
Yeah.
no, not an option at that point.
No.
Yeah. Anything that's terrified you as an adult in real life?
Showgirls. No, I'm kidding.
Terrifying.
About the people or the movie?
Administration. Oh god, reality. That's what scared me.
Yeah. Turn on the news anytime today,
Yeah.
and that's the real terrifying stuff right now.
Yeah. That's a common theme.
Yep.
Any scary dreams as an adult?
Not really. Not. It's like more of those are more like when someone dies or something like that. So that's what's so weird about getting old. It's like it's like the stuff that scares you when you're getting old is getting old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again,
that's
reality.
That's a common thing we hear about. Is things in real life, vocational problems, money.
Yeah.
The things that scare you when you're old are probably boring to kids.
Yeah. It's like it's not the boogeyman.
Well, they can't relate.
Still, ghosts still creep me out, but like not like it's only when I'm not expecting something. But it's like, but yeah, I still have those moments where I get a little creeped out and stuff like that.
Do you have you continued participating in Halloween as an adult?
I've done some, especially now with Terrifier. I kind of feel like I'm obligated to, but it's more like going to parties and stuff like that.
I was just going to say events. Yeah.
It's like I don't know if we've encountered this before, but you mentioned the whole starting to scare people thing, and typically it's one of two things. When you're a kid, you go trick or treating, and then at a certain point, you do the cutover of going to Halloween parties. But in between is kind of haunt or just scaring people. Which
exactly. Yeah, I was actually supposed to do Spooky Empire that Halloween back in 2019.
Oh yeah.
But we had to cancel because we started filming Terrifier at the time. Terrifier 2.
I think they ended up canceling it anyway, didn't they?
No, that was before COVID. So they ended up doing. I was like, I want to be there so badly.
2019. Sorry.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to go back to Spooky again though. Once everything gets back to normal.
Soon, hopefully. Maybe this year. Vaccines they're coming.
Yeah, Petey, if you're listening, I want to come back.
Chris will make some phone calls for you.
Yeah,
there you go. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, Petey, he's a good guy. He runs a good con too. So
yeah, he does.
Yeah, they did a clown walk, which was really cool.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They had me lead the parade, so it was a parade of clowns. So it was so funny because you see we're walking down the road there in Orlando, and people are running away from us. People are afraid of clowns.
As they should. You're scary clowns.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was. No, I wasn't even dressed as Art. I was myself.
Oh really?
Well, that could say something. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had this army of clowns behind me, so I was like, "This is great! I love this."
Were there any arts in the group? Like you were dressed up as Art, but there.
I think there was like one or two. Yeah,
nice.
So that was
of course a bunch of Pennywises, I'm sure.
You'd actually be surprised. I don't even think there was a Pennywise. I was just other people just dressed as different scary clowns.
Huh.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I love it because I love to see that kind of creativity too.
Possible tangent, but what is it that you like about cosplay?
I just have appreciation for that art form. I love to see what people come up with. Because I'm a big, huge geek myself, so I love seeing all the different references to movies and comic books and video games. So there's some really talented and creative people out there. I remember I did WinterCon here in New York a few years ago, and there was this person that dressed up like the Monkey King, and it was it looked real. It was like full fur costume. It looked like a real monkey. It was so good.
Nice.
So good. It could have been used in the movie. It was like, this is fantastic. Of course, he won the costume contest. I was like, yeah, you better.
I don't know if you've ever seen Chris's pictures on Facebook, but he's got what's the thing from Warhammer? Typhus?
Typhus?
Oh yeah. Nice.
I did a cosplay of Typhus, the Death Guard captain, and man,
Nice.
you were talking about the turtle costume earlier and falling on your back, and that's why I was laughing so much, because I can relate with cumbersome and uncomfortable costumes. If I were to have fallen on my back in that thing, would not be able to get up.
Oh my god! Did you ever see the person that did the New York Comic Con 2 or 3 years ago, where he did the Hulk Buster costume?
Yes.
Holy crap, that was
That thing
amazing.
was like 9 feet tall.
Yeah. There was like a video of him getting into it, and it's like a huge process of him just getting into that costume. Like, my god, that'd have sucked when you had to go take a pee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Like every time I would wear the Typhus costume
there's
any
a bottle
convention,
in there somewhere.
It's like a.
Oh yeah, going into the bathrooms at conventions is always the funniest thing. Just seeing people just in there, just trying to get in and out of their costumes. It's like, oh god.
Well, that was one of my favorite things.
No one thinks anything of it too. It's just like, oh, okay, it's another guy dressed as a Joker.
Yeah, this guy, that guy.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining him having to go to the bathroom. He'd have to like get out of it and have somebody stand out there with the costume to make sure somebody didn't steal it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Always have your handlers.
Yes.
Well, I think it's even worse for the females, though. It's like they can't just unzip; they have to like fully just disrobe,
basically. Yeah.
And like when they have different pieces on and stuff like that. Like one of my friends went as Wonder Woman one year, and she's like, she gets out of the bathroom the first time. She's like, "This is a bad idea."
I didn't think this through.
Yeah. And then it gets to the point where if you go to conventions often enough, then you keep doing it, and you start actually planning your costume with, okay, how am I going to go to the bathroom in this thing? Where the pocket's going to be?
Yeah,
exactly. I made the joke about there being a bottle inside the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all. But it's like, that's what I love about it. It's like going to the costumes. I'm always happy to see the cosplayers. It just makes me so happy. Especially when I've seen some really creative Art the Clown costumes too. Like some gender bent versions. I've seen kids dress up as Art.
Aww.
So it's like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, have you seen this movie? Yeah. I'm like, really? Wow.
And your parents still have custody of you.
Like all of it?
Yeah. Like I had a 4-year-old one time at a convention, Days of the Dead in Chicago, and she was obsessed with me. She was like, kept coming by my table, and her parents were like, yeah, she's seen the movie about 4 or 5 times. I'm like, she was like the Cindy Lou Who type of like just adorable.
No.
And I'm like, wow. This child is like a huge horror freak, and she's just like so freaking adorable. It's like, this is amazing.
Cool. So got a couple wrap up questions here. These are going to cover your entire life, not just sections of it. I'm going to ask 2 questions so I can explain them, because the answer could be the same for both questions or different, depending. So
how many times have you farted in public and blamed it on someone else?
Oh, I always own up to it. I'm like, yeah,
that was me.
Especially when it's a good one. I'm like, yeah, I did that.
That actually wasn't one of the questions. I'm just being a jackass.
Version of that though is this is why I don't do yoga.
That's from what I understand, that's a common thing in yoga classes.
I think it's to be expected, and it's just
also massage therapy.
Yeah.
I had a roommate who was a massage therapist, and
oh, I'm sure that's great because people get comfortable. When I first moved here to New York, and there's this girl I had a crush on, she was teaching yoga, and she's like, hey, so we're doing at my studio, we're doing free classes for the weekend, so why don't you come in? And my roommate was big into yoga, so she's like, well, we'll go, and I'll be your wingman, so I'll talk you up for this girl and stuff like that, and make you look good. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm in this class, and I'm the only guy in the class.
Of course.
And I'm surrounded by all these beautiful women, and I'm like, oh, God, no. And I'm just over there, and we're doing like downward dog or whatever, and I just, it was like a squeaker. It was one of those, like,
of course.
Like a balloon, just like, and I was like, oh, and my roommate just starts cackling next to me, and I'm like, and that made
you're not making it better,
and it made it worse because I got the giggles. And for about 5 minutes, I was like, because I was both embarrassed, but I just thought the moment was just so freaking hilarious too. Because I think farts are hilarious, and like the situation was even funnier. But I'm like, it's at the same time, I was like, yeah, I just in front of this girl I have this crush on, And then all these other women in here too. I'm like, oh God, my roommate's dying. And she's like, Dave, this happens to everybody. This is so common. It's like, yeah, but not for the person you have a crush on.
Right.
No. That's like, like later on in the relationship, you do that. You don't just sit right in front of them and then get the giggles like I did because I sound like a 5-year-old.
But then by the end of that class, how many other people had?
Oh, I don't know because I was still mortified. I am never doing yoga again. I can't show you that.
Don't blame you.
Yep.
Okay, well, the two questions I really meant to ask you were,
oh yeah,
what movie have you watched more times than any other, and what movie is your favorite?
Doesn't have to be horror either.
Right.
Just any movie.
No, it's the same answer.
Okay.
It's the same answer. Yeah, it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Really?
Okay.
That's my favorite movie of all time. I can watch that over and over again. It's the perfect movie to me.
Okay.
It's got everything I love in a movie. It's got humor. It's got cartoons.
It's got violence.
It's got a love story. It's got a hot female lead, even though she's a toon. But it's got mystery. It's film noir. It's got action. It's got everything. It's got good musical numbers in it. It's
got violence.
Film. Yeah, it's
got cartoon violence.
It's got horror in it.
Yeah.
It's
the dip.
Yeah.
I saw, and speaking of cosplay again, I saw a guy cosplaying as, what was
Judge Doom?
Yeah, Judge Doom, and he had the vat. He had the dip vat, and he was dipping the shoe in it. It's just
yeah. I think that was at Spooky Empire because Christopher Lloyd was there.
Yeah,
nice.
Even better.
Yeah, he had that, and he also had the Roger Rabbit doll that he would. I was like, I was giddy when I saw that cosplay. I was like, that is amazing. I freaking love this.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually got to meet Christopher Lloyd there at that convention too. That was a great moment. It was like I was getting my makeup done for the photo op, and my manager, Damien's doing my makeup, and we're in the green room, and my manager comes in. He's like, David, I got someone here that wants to meet you guys, and I just hear this. Oh wow!
Unmistakable voice.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's like my eyes just boom open, and like Damien swirls around. He makes this sound that I've never heard come out of him. He just makes this like orgasm going the spot there. Because that's like it's Christopher Lloyd. It's just like this is the man that is my childhood.
Right.
Oh, so many of my favorite movies growing up. Addams Family. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future, Reverend Jim from Taxi,
Yep.
Switchblade Sam. It's just like it's Christopher frickin' Lloyd, and just seeing this big, huge, genuine smile, all this joy that was on his face was just the most amazing moment for me because that man has brought so much joy to my life. To be able to just bring a smile to his face, that was awesome.
Right,
and he was just so sweet, so kind.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I had hoped to meet him, but I figured it was being passing, like, oh, nice to meet you type of. I was like, yeah, we sat down and chatted for a while. It was just like, this is amazing.
What'd you guys talk about?
It's just life, I had commented to him because we had a mutual friend and my mentor, Stephen Carl, who, when I toured with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, he was our Grinch. I was his understudy. So he's the one that really took me under his wing and taught me a lot about physical comedy. But he had been playing Grinch, and before we did the national tour, they did to sit down in L.A., and he had played the Grinch before in a sit down in Boston, I think. But the next year, they wanted to have a big name celebrity play the Grinch, and so they had Christopher Lloyd originally played the Grinch, and Stefan was his understudy in that. So they kind of buddied up a lot during that and took him out to lunch on his birthday and everything like that. And, and eventually Chris couldn't handle the role because it's so physically demanding.
Right.
So Stefan, he bowed out and Stefan took over. So it was, I think this is a few months after Stefan had passed away. So we were talking about Stefan, our experiences with Stefan, and everything like that. So it was a very nice moment there. I was like, "This is wow."
Nice. do you, going back to the horror stuff for a minute, do you see any common threads about what you like in horror? Cannibalism, occult, metaphysical, body horror?
Oh God, I think I like dark humor.
I had a
That's what
feeling
I
it was
like.
going to be humor related.
Yeah. Because I've always been a comedy guy. I love comedy, and I have a dark sense of humor myself, so I love dark humor.
Any idea why it is that you like dark humor?
I don't know. I think it's just I've gone through a lot of tragedy in my life, and humor's the thing that's got me through it all. And so when you can find the humor in really bad things, that can do a lot for you. So I think that's where I had that appreciation for dark humor.
Yeah, it's almost like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I'm curious, between parents, one or the other or both, was that something that you got from one of your parents?
Oh yeah, definitely from my mom. Like we were very close. She unfortunately passed away when I was in college from cancer, which kind of set me on my life path now.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Like I said, it set me on my path because I was originally studying to be an elementary school teacher. And then when she passed away, that changed my whole trajectory because I was very unhappy at the time for about a year or so there. Went down a very dark path. And I was in my classroom one day and I was doing story time with my kids. And I was doing all the different voices for the story characters. And I discovered I was getting more fulfillment out of entertaining my students and making them laugh than actually teaching. And I was like, this is what I really need to do with my life. So that's what set me on my path. So, I attribute a lot of that to my mom. That was something she wanted, like our last conversation together. She expressed to me that, that she didn't flat out tell me not to teach, but she told me like life is too short not to do what makes you happy.
Right.
Do what you want to do, not what you think you have to do. And I, that originally, didn't really register for me at first, but like about during that time frame, that's when it finally hit home. I'm like, I see what she was talking about now. So yeah, like my mom was a very funny person. She was great. Prankster. I come from like that whole side of the family is a bunch of pranksters.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned about that earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm curious specifically about the dark sense of humor. Did she also have a dark sense of humor?
Oh yeah. I was like, it came across, just from her and her mom. And like, there was a story of my grandmother when she was in college where she killed a rat in the bathtub and she hung it by its tail in the front chandelier of the girls' dormitory. So anytime anybody walked in, she would get in the face with a rat.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my grandmother was hysterical. She also, like her college, there was a legend. This at Huntington College in Alabama. The legend of the ghost of the Lady in Red. This girl that committed suicide in her dorm and would walk down the hall every now and then year for the anniversary of her suicide. And so my grandmother that year, she lived in that dorm on that hallway, and she dressed up like her and put all these like flashlights or whatever inside of her to make her glow. And she walked through the halls and went out the window and went across the roof and like went back into her room and changed clothes and came out, what's going on? So all these women thought they had seen the ghost, and it was my grandmother. So she did that kind of stuff. And it's like, it was funny too, when she died, it was about 6 months later, we get this phone call from the cemetery and like, we have to make a big, huge apology. We buried your mom in the wrong plot. And my mom starts laughing her head off. And they're like, well, this is not the reaction we expect. It's like, oh, no, right. You don't understand. This is something my mother would have loved. This is her final joke on all of us.
Yeah,
we have
this
to
is
dig
perfect.
her back up and rebury her. Yeah. So that's where it all comes from, is that side of the family. My dad's side of the family is a bunch of engineers. So they're very straight-laced, very dry, very quiet, reserved people. So
yeah, it definitely sounds like humor came from your mom's side of the family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, my dad has his moments where he cracks a joke here or there, and I'm like, oh, wow, Dad, you cracked a joke.
You got one.
Got one. I'm impressed. That's your joke for the decade.
Right. Well, the next question would have been any idea why it is that you like those things, but I think it's obvious, having a close relationship with your mother and grandmother for that matter.
Yeah.
that doesn't really need much explanation.
Yeah, this is not the grandmother that exercised me. This is my mom's mom.
Oh, okay,
I gathered that. So last question then is sort of like, why horror? Because, there's comedy. There's, you could have just gone straight into comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to have the juxtaposition of comedy and horror. Do you any idea why you like that crossroads over straight comedy?
I think it's because with horror, when you have that blend of comedy and horror, the comedy, as we said earlier, is like a coping mechanism, but so is horror. It's the experience of when you're watching these movies, that feeling that you survived something, that you went through an ordeal and you came out and you're okay.
Okay.
I think that's part of it. It's like, it's that whole story of a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Overcoming horrible things, and everything's okay in the end until the killer comes back.
Of course, because you got to have the sequel.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think if we were to summarize conversation tonight, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, or suggest a better wording if you can think of one, but I would say the summary there would be the two things that you kind of mentioned, the coping mechanism, but also the close relationship with your mother. If we were to say that, what makes you happy about horror, sounds like those are the two biggest things.
Yeah. I've always wondered, like if she would actually have watched Terrifier, because she was my biggest fan. Mm-hmm. She was every show I did, except the last show I did in college, the weekend that she passed away, because she was supposed to come up and she got too sick. And it's the only show that she did not see me in when she was still alive, and she felt so bad about it. But she always saw everything I did, and so I always wondered, like, would she have actually sat through Terrifier or not, or was she like, I love you, but I can't? She would probably gotten through the pizzeria scene. She's like, okay, that's enough.
It's very good. Stop now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were sitting there with her, maybe.
Yeah. I forgot. Does it start off with the lady with the mutilated face, or do they start off with the pizzeria? Yeah, I don't think she would have even made it to the pizzeria.
Why are you doing this to me? No. I hate you. Tell me. So she'd be doing the whole thing, hiding her face. Tell me when I can look. Come on. Then I'll be like, you can look now, Mom. And it'll be something she can't look. She's like,
Gotcha.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time tonight.
You're welcome. These were fun questions. I like these.
Yeah. It's always a fun
time. And part of the reason Chris and I decided we wanted to do this is, the direction we're taking with this is, we thought, sort of unique, and a lot of the people in the horror business, I'm sure, are used to talking about whatever it is that they're working on rather than what makes them who they are.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to anybody out there listening. Please do come visit us at, before we do the closing, I'm sorry. I don't remember what you pitched at the start of the call, but you want to wrap up with that?
Oh yeah. Terrifier 2 is coming out sometime this year. You're going to love it. And then I'm making my movie, my second horror film, I guess you can say, outside of Terrifier, Stream. So that's coming. Oh, and also I forgot, there was another horror movie I did during the pandemic called The Dark Offerings. I just play a very small little role at the very beginning of the film, but it was filmed exclusively over Zoom during COVID.
Oh, okay.
So that should be coming out later on this year as well.
We'll get together with you offline and put together a bio page, and we can link to whatever you want.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, now, thank you to anybody out there listening. Please do come visit us at horrormakesushappy.com. We'll have a schedule there posted to show who we're interviewing and who we have already interviewed. If you know of anybody that's on the list that you can help us get in touch with, please let us know. Or if there's somebody that you'd like to have added to the list, let us know that too. Can become a Patreon supporter, link to social media, all that kind of fun stuff. In general, just come let us know how we're doing. horrormakesushappy.com.